Right friends, welcome back to the fourth capsule. This is on bad bank. You may have a doubt what is meant by bad bank. Please view this capsule. You will be clear by the end of this capsule what exactly is bad bank and how it is improvement over the existing schemes. Now, before going further, what exactly the meaning of non-performing asset? And every one of us familiar that banks give loans, and after taking term loans, borrowers are required to pay back every month. That is known as equated monthly installment in normal terms. And when the borrower is not able to pay back either the interest or principal or both for more than 90 days in respect of a term loan, then that loan account will become non-performing asset. And please don't forget, in banking system, deposits are known as liabilities. If I am depositing 1 lakh fixed deposit in bank, that is a liability for the bank. And if I am taking loan for rupees 1 lakh, if I am taking a loan of rupees 1 lakh, it will be asset in the banking system. So, in banking system, loans are nothing but assets because they survive because of loans. That's why they are called assets, non-performing assets. When the loan is paid back regularly, it is known as a standard asset. But when the loan is not paid back for more than 90 days, it is a non-performing asset or NPA. I think you are clear about it. And in the banking system, NPA, I have already told you, if the loan is not paid for more than 90 days, it is NPA. Once it becomes NPA, the first 12 months period is a substandard asset. I have given here with the illustration. So, after borrower stopped paying back, after 90 days it becomes non-performing asset, and the first 12 months period of NPA is known as a substandard asset. That means it indicates a well-defined credit weakness, and it also indicates there is distinct possibility that banks may sustain loss. And beyond 12 months, it is a doubtful asset. It indicates that the weakness may lead to liquidation. And another one is the loss asset, where loss has been identified by the bank or internal or by external auditors or during RBI inspection, but the amount has not been written off. Under those circumstances, it is known as a loss asset. That means it indicates a continuance as a bankable asset is not warranted. So, this is the terminology used for non-performing assets. And this is substandard asset as well as a doubtful asset. These two terms are very, very important. You may ask a reasonable question, what is the reason for non-performing assets? And here the interesting point is, most of the non-performing assets are with the public sector banks. The percentage of non-performing assets of public sector banks is quite high in comparison to private sector banks. And the reasons, 12 reasons I have listed out here. This is very, very important. First one is improper credit appraisal by the public sector banks. Public sector banks do not have proper credit appraisal mechanism. Then second important point is, these public sector banks are technically under the government of India. They are under the Department of Financial Services of Ministry of Finance. And as they are under government sector, then political interference is there. That's why several loans became non-performing assets, and at the same time, some of the defaulters have got political connections, and some of the defaulters have become members of parliament also. And fourth point is, loans granted in good times became non-performing assets because the economic situation since 2008 changed. All of you are familiar with the economic downturn after 2008. And another important point is, for some of the Indian companies, debt equity ratio is very high. That means if he got equity of rupees 100 crores, he is taking loan of 1000 crores. If a company has got equity component of, equity means shareholding by the owners. Shareholding by the owners, if it is rupees 100 crores, if the company is borrowing 1000 crores, then debt equity ratio becomes 10. For some of the companies, debt equity ratio is very, very high. The next point is, some of the loans were taken during high interest rate regime. That's why they are not able to service the loan, they are not able to pay back the EMI. Then there is a stress in some sectors like steel, infrastructure, textiles, power. Some due to external factors because global downturn, and some due to structural bottlenecks within the economy like environmental factors, forest clearances like that. Then structural issues like the problems in land acquisition and dragging the issues when it comes to forests or environmental clearances. Then another important aspect is, some of them are willful defaulters. That means they have borrowed money and they diverted money for some real estate or something. Then the world economy is taking too much time for recovery. Some of the countries are under recession even after 8 years of global downturn in 2008. Then automation is the biggest problem nowadays. Automation is changing the dynamics of businesses, and that is the reason for downfall of some of the companies. Then manufacturing sector could not take off in our country, and the country is basically thriving on imported goods. So these are the reasons for high non-performing assets. And friends, let us look at the issue. When the non-performing assets are there, what the banks can do? Banks can try to solve in several ways. I have listed out here. I will go briefly about all these things. First one is, if the bank feels that there is genuine reason. Second one is, if the bank feels that there is no genuine reason. Let us look at the first issue. When the bank feels that there is genuine reason, it can do restructuring of loan. This is known as corporate debt restructuring. If there is a genuine reason, if environmental clearance was not given, if coal linkage was not there, if forest clearance is not given by the government, if land acquisition was not done by the government, under those circumstances, what is the fault of the company? There is no fault from the company side. Under those circumstances, restructuring of loans can be done by the banks, like extension of repayment period, reduction of interest rate, moratorium for some period. That means for some period they need not service the loan, and additional loan can also be given. So other stipulations I have given here, please go through them. This is when genuine reason is there. If genuine reason is not there, I have listed out 6 points. 6 ways of tackling the problem. If there is no genuine reason, then first one is debt recovery tribunals. Banks can approach debt recovery tribunals under the Recovery of Debts Due to Banks and Financial Institutions Act of 1993. It is a long drawn out procedure. It has not given satisfactory result to the banks. Second one is asset reconstruction companies. These asset reconstruction companies were established based on SURFACE Act, and here several times the banks are selling at much lesser cost to asset reconstruction companies. That means if the loan value is 100 crores, sometimes the banks are selling at 40 crores, 30 crores, 50 crores. And another point is, only 15% of the valuation will be paid by asset reconstruction companies immediately, and the balance 85% are given as security receipts. So because of poor valuations, banks are losing a lot of money. Then comes the filing of criminal cases. Criminal cases can be filed against the borrower if the bank feels that the non-payment of debt is due to willful default. That means the borrower is deliberately diverted the funds, deliberately not paying. Then winding up petitions. Banks can file winding up petitions and official liquidator will be appointed by the competent authority. It is a long drawn court procedure and which may not give desired result. Then strategic debt restructuring or SDR. Here banks can take over the management control. Debt can be converted to equity. They can change the management. They can assume ownership of the company. They can try to make a turnaround of the company. For the loan part, whatever the banks have given, that loan or debt can be converted to equity and banks can assume ownership under strategic debt restructuring. It has also not given desired result. Another one is there, S4A. This is a sustainable structuring of stressed assets or S4A. This was brought recently during 2016. Here the debt will be converted into sustainable debt and the other part is equity or quasi-equity. That means debt is bifurcated in two portions. One is sustainable debt. Sustainable debt is up to the extent which the borrower can service the loan, right? So this is S4A and these have not given satisfactory results to the banks. And banks now bothered about how to come out of NPAs. They are not able to concentrate on giving loans. Most of the bank's management is now fed up with this bad loans. So, what is the bad bank? Bad bank is nothing but improvement over selling the assets to asset reconstruction companies. And basically, banks will straight away transfer this to bad bank. If some borrower has failed to pay back, then that non-performing asset will be straight away transferred to bad bank. And bad bank will look at the management of these NPAs in all possible ways such as liquidation or restructuring. And as these NPAs are transferred to bad bank, now public sector banks management will be free of all these problems and they can concentrate on giving loans. Then as NPAs are exclusively dealt by bad bank, then they can focus more on the task of recovery. And as the core operations of a bad bank is only focusing on NPAs, they can be in a better position to find practical solutions. And it is now a crude idea and no concrete step was taken by the government. It is still in the discussion stage and now I put out two aspects. One is if it is in government sector, if it is in private sector. If it is in government sector, why I posed this question is government had to take a decision with regard to formulation of bad bank. It can be in government sector or it can be in private sector. If it is in government sector, then government has to provide lot of capital for takeover of these NPAs. And if it is in government sector, again bureaucratic apathy and inefficiencies will creep in. And again it is prone for CBI vigilance inquiries and its functioning may be affected. If it is in private sector, transparency issues will come into picture. At what price these NPAs will be transferred and how much will banks will get in return. Then long-term investors like sovereign wealth funds, pension funds may invest in bad banks. That is one positive aspect if it is in private sector. And if NPAs are priced too high, then bad bank may become financially unviable. And in case of at least some of the NPAs, defaulting is basically due to willful defaulting. So, as willful defaulting took place in some of the NPAs, which bad bank will save? So, bad bank may not be effective if the person deliberately diverted the funds. Then it is not easy to look at the valuation and the profitability for the bad bank in private sector in case of the loans deliberately diverted for some other purpose, that is in case of willful defaulters, right? So whatever way the government try to go, then it is a real challenge for the government, right friends? As and when further news prop up, we will further have discussion on this aspect, but this is a very important aspect, gross non-performing assets. So please view this capsule carefully. Have a nice day. Please do join for read between the lines and news in focus of this week. Have a nice day. Thank you.